All right. We're going to get started here. I appreciate those who have already chimed in and given me messages. So, we're here today specifically to review the LabSim class setup. That's what I'm going to cover today. But, of course, if there's questions on other things, you're welcome to get back to me. Other items that you might need some assistance with. Obviously, we have other training sessions coming up in the future that hopefully these will help you get underway and give you the information you need to be successful, whether this is the first time you're using LabSim or perhaps you've used it before and you just need some refresher training. So that's what we're going to review here today. And first off, I want to point out that if you use LabSim through your learning management system, through Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle, D2L, Schoology, whatever you may use on campus, class creation may be automatically set up for you. So it would be best if you contact your administrator, whether that's Blackboard, Canvas, or whomever you use on campus, but contact the administrator, find out if that's the case, because you may not need to actually set up classes yourself in LabSim. So I want to just point that out up front so I don't hopefully confuse anybody who may be using their Canvas account, for instance, and the classes are automatically there for you. So this presentation is geared more to those who are strictly using the LabSim interface as is. And feel free to ask questions anytime. For anybody who may have just joined us late, thank you for chiming in today. I appreciate it. And the questions box, most of you have already found that. So feel free to go ahead and ask questions anytime during this presentation. I am solo today, so I'll try to get to, if I have lots of questions, I'll try to get to as many of those as I can. And if not, we'll get to those after the fact, which is why we have you put your email address in so I can reach out to you if need be. So here is our agenda for today. We're initially going to talk about the class creation. We're going to talk about then the student enrollment, specifically from the student's point of view, how they enroll and unenroll from classes. Then we'll talk about that from the instructor perspective, because as an instructor, you have the ability to enroll and unenroll students as well. I'm also going to just at least touch on teaching aids and tutorials, because I want to make sure that you know that we have those resources available as well for anybody who may not be aware of that. And then again, you ask questions and answers anytime during this, but I'm hoping we will have some time at the end to address maybe any other questions and answers you may have. So let's get underway here. I've already logged into my LabSim account. And hopefully everybody that's joined us should already have a LabSim account. That's obviously the first step. Those are set up from an account manager here at TestOut. And you have, of course, a username and a login to get into your account. So the first thing to do to get things started for a group is that you will need to set up classes in Labs. If you have more than one class, obviously you would create more than one. If you only have one class you're teaching this particular semester, that's all you would need to set up. So here, under the My Classes tab, you will click the Add button. And this is really a pretty simple step. It take long to do this. It'll literally take you less than a minute to complete this activity. This is the pivotal step that you need to do in order to get things underway for the students and to use the rest of the administration tools that are available in LabSim. So first off, the class name, I always recommend use your course number, whatever that may be at your campus. Go ahead and use your course number. I'm just going to type in a course number, and I'm going to, this is for fall of 2018, for instance. Now, if you have a section number, you can include that as well. Or if you have an AM/PM class, you could write that what you want. But I recommend use this course number here because it makes it easy for students to find when they go to do the enroll step. Typically what happens at most facilities, now again, this may be slightly different depending on where you're at and what your campus does, but generally speaking, the instructor creates the accounts. once the students have their accounts created, then they in turn will enroll in the class. So that's generally how it works at most places. Where it says assigned teacher, your name may already default here in this location. If not, you can go ahead and select your name from down list. That drop down list will only have instructors that are at your specific facility. So it's not going to have everybody in there, only associated with your campus. For those who already have this defaulted, the last field you'll need to complete here is where it says Associated LabSim Products. You'll click the Edit pencil, and then to pick the specific product, obviously, you're using for your class. Based on the attendance today, there's going to be a variety of different courses I'm sure everybody's using out there. So I'm going to simply go ahead and click the box next to the TestOut PC Pro. Click the Done button, and those are the fields I need to complete. So class name, sure I'm the default instructor here. And if we do have anybody, by the way, that's an administrator and you're setting up a class for another instructor, then obviously instead of having your name here, you would be able to select who you want instructing that particular class. So if you have administrator rights, then the ability to actually create classes for other instructors. Now, the student enrollment part, as I just mentioned, is typically done by the students directly. So these are the fields that we have to do as the instructor, and then I click the Done button. It will automatically save that class for me. Because I have other classes already created, what it's doing now is organizing those classes. And here I can see my CIT class comes second because CIT comes after, of course, CIS. So if you do have multiple classes, they will always be in an alphanumeric order. And somebody is mentioning that this setup has already been done for some instructors, and that is correct. As I mentioned at the very beginning, if you are using this program, LabSim, through your management system, Blackboard, Canvas, a Moodle, E2L, Schoology you may use on campus, then this step may already be done. So again, this is just preliminary information for those that are needing to actually do this particular setup. So I don't confuse anybody. If this step is done, just know that if you are already automating classes, you may not complete that first step. Now you can see the class is created right here. And I right now, of course, don't have any students enrolled because I just set it up. But as I mentioned, is the pivotal step to be able to now students can enroll in this, and then I can administer the other resources in LabSim. Besides looking at student reports, I could utilize custom exams as well as pro certification exams. But in order to do that, classes have to be created. Now, let's look at things from the student perspective. So you have the class up. As the students, they now need to enroll in your respective class. And again, this may be done if you're using LMS, Blackboard, Moodle, Canvas, again, any LMS system you may be using on campus. This step, again, student enrollment may automatically be set up for you as well, too. If the students need to enroll, I'm going to go to a student account that I have pulled up here. And here is a student that has the TestOut PC Pro course. So the students typically buy their activation codes from a bookstore. If they're purchasing codes, they can also buy them direct from TestOut. But once they've created their account, they automatically have access to the course they purchased. In this case, TestOut PC Pro is the one the particular student has available. You know, at the top, it tells them they need to enroll in the class. So we can enroll. This is a very easy step for the just as it is for the instructors creating the class. The first question here is who teaches the class? that they want to enroll in. Well, since this is the school that I am at, type in my last name here, and I do that. I have two names that pop up. My name because my last name, and a gentleman who it's his first name. Student side, they can type in the instructor's name, last name, both, doesn't matter. I'll be going to find the info, as long as obviously they haven't done a typo in the name, but they will be able to find the instructor very quickly. And across from their name, they will simply click select, and then it's going to show the class or classes that the student is available to enroll in. And right here I can is my CIT 234 class. So I can click enroll, and then it will ask me to confirm this is the class taught by this instructor. And as a student, I simply say yes, and that's the enrollment step for the students. So it's very easy for them. And notice at the top now, the student has an unenroll button, which obviously didn't exist until they were enrolled. So if the student realizes that that's not the correct class, even after they confirmed that, yes, that was, maybe they were doing things too quickly and they did pick the incorrect instructor. Maybe they typed in the name John, and there were two Johns at the school and they accidentally picked the incorrect one. So they can go back and they can say, yep, I need to unenroll from this class. And then it will obviously take them right out of that particular class. They can enroll in another class. Now, honestly, it doesn't matter which way they do this. If they wanted to enroll in the other instructor's class, and then come back and unenroll from this class, they can do that. It does not affect anything. So even if they've done some work in LabSim, moving from one class to another will not affect any of the students' work. Now let's go back to the instructor side. So I went through, you can see how easy it is for the students to do the enrollment step. And then if they either drop the class or realize that they were in the wrong one, they can fix that very, very easily. Now, as an instructor, you probably at some point in time come across a student who forgot to do the enrollment step and maybe seems like they don't understand how to do the enrollment part. Well, here, let's go ahead and click on my class. And I can see the student that I had that just enrolled is now listed here. So I can see that that student is available, that they've already signed up, but I need to look for another student. Let's say you have a class of 20 students and 19 of them have already enrolled in your class. You're simply trying to find the one who didn't. So from here, I can click enroll. And by the way, when you click your class name, as you know, I only have this one student enrolled, but it would list all of the students that you have in this class. So it's going to give you a roster right here of who's enrolled. You can compare that, of course, with what you received from the campus itself, and then you can see exactly who is missing from your list if you're comparing, as I was mentioning, maybe I'm supposed to have 20 students and 19 of them are already enrolled. Well, I can quickly identify who's missing from the list, and then I can type a name in this search box. Now, there's 240 students listed here, and some of you may be in organizations that literally have thousands of students listed here. So obviously, I don't want to have to scroll alphabetically by last name to find one student. So I'm going to put the student's name in my search box up here, and I can press enter. And then it's only giving me now 12 results by typing the name of James in here. And of course, James happens to be a first name as well as a last name, but I can quickly identify who I need to enroll. Let's say it's this student right here. When I click the plus sign next to that student's name, you can see it tells me that student is now successfully enrolled. And when I click the done button, it will save the changes for my class now, but this student is now enrolled in the class. So if you have students that, again, they have not figured out how to do the enrollment step, as you already saw, it is very simple, very easy to utilize, but again, they just may miss it. They may be too focused on other things. So if that's the case, you're welcome to enroll them. However, if you have a student that did enroll and then they drop the class, or you realize, yeah, that student's not even supposed to be in my class, I think they just got the wrong one, well, then you can go ahead and click the box next to the student's name and you can unenroll that specific student. And it will just ask me, are you sure you want to unenroll? Tells me the student's name. And of course, I can say yes. And the student is now out of that class. And I'm going to click on uh, this class here, this networking class that I have 8 students in. Because there's another field here that's really important for instructors to know about that sometimes is missed. And this is critical information. So that's why I want everybody that's on board with us today to know about this. We have a list, of course, of the student names that I was referring to earlier. As the students enroll in their classes, their names will appear on this list of who's in the class. But this is an important column right here, required products activated. Obviously, all the students should have a yes by their name, but I can see one student has a no. Johnny here does not have the correct product activated for this class. And some instructors are confused by that. It's like, well, how can he be in the class if he doesn't even have the product? Well, if you think about our activation code similar to a book, for instance, Johnny could be registered for the class through the campus. He can come to class, but that doesn't mean he has the book that he needs to do his homework from. And the same applies with LabSim. We know Johnny has an account because obviously he was able to enroll in this class. But the enrollment step is not what gives him access to the product. That's what he purchases from the bookstore or from us directly. So the activation code provides the curriculum for this specific course. So Johnny probably used our product maybe last semester for a different class, and now he's taking another class that's using LabSim, but he needs to purchase another code, just like he would have to have a different book. You can't use a networking book for a security class. The same applies here. So within the first week or two, I highly recommend go in, look at your roster. Let me go back to the home screen one more time. It's a very quick way. All you do is click your class name from the home page, and that will show you then who the list of students are. And check to make sure you have all the students with the required product activated. The reason I like to point this out is just last spring we had this situation happen where an instructor wasn't seeing students' progress and couldn't figure out why. The student said, "Oh, I've been working, and this was towards the end of the semester. There was 1 week left at the end of the semester. Found out that the student literally had used, I don't know how this all happened, but the student had used the wrong product the entire semester. So they had a no by their name. The teacher never noticed that. The student was doing work, but they weren't doing work in the right product. I don't know how they resolved it in the end, but this, like I said, is a critical step to make sure that the students are all on the same page. Everybody should have a yes by their name. Now, in this case with Johnny, either he hasn't purchased the activation code or he has it and hasn't activated it yet. Generally, that's the case. Now, it could be that if he purchased from a bookstore or even if he purchased from us online directly, maybe he bought the wrong product. But if you see that no there and that continues to stay, past like the first week, then I would certainly question to find out what he has available. And if you need to see, you can click on Johnny's name and it will show here what product he has in his account. So I can see he did have the PC Pro that he took at another point in time, and now he needs the one for networking. Okay. There's a comment here too. If he has a different version of a product, that sometimes happens as well. That if we've come out with a new version of the product, And that's a great point, Jim. Thank you for bringing that up. If the student maybe didn't enroll in the class initially, they could possibly be using a different version of the product. But when you go to the reports, that data will be available in the report area. And we are going to talk about reports in a later webinar, so I'm not going to touch too much on that today. But there are different versions that are available to see if the student has done work perhaps in a different version. But in this case, the example that I was showing is the student didn't even have the correct product yet for the class. So again, thanks, Jim, for bringing that up. Now, I mentioned that I wanted to bring up also, uh, well, one other thing before we move on to the other resources that I want to point out. Some instructors aren't aware that we do have an archive option. So like this summer class here that I have, let's say my summer class is now over. I no longer need that to be in my list of active classes. I can go ahead and click the box next to that class, go up to actions, and then I can say I want to archive that class. It will again ask me to confirm, so I can say yes, and then what it'll do is it'll simply take that class out of my active classes, so it's no longer there. However, if I want to go back to ever view my archive classes, of course, I'm always at the default view or the active view initially, but I can go to my archived view at any point in time to go back and see previous classes. You can see I have quite a few here that I've archived over time. So this way, what this does is it provides you with the ability to keep that information there and to still have the class detail, but you don't have to have that on your active page. So this way on your active page, you can only have the class or classes that you have currently so that you're not trying to find data. The students aren't trying to figure out which class to join and then they get the wrong one because that was the summer class and not the fall class type of thing. So for your benefit as well as for the students' benefit, it's nice to go out and be able to archive those classes so that you're keeping your main active page clean so that it's easy for you to find data as well as for the students. All right. Now, the other resources that I said I wanted to point out before we concluded would be the teaching aids and tutorials. So if I go up to well, there's multiple ways to access this, but I'm going to go to the welcome with my name in it, and we have instructor resources right here. By the way, this is a brand new feature that we just set up here, request training. We have that out there now. I'm really happy that we have that available right from LabSim currently. So if is further detail that you want about something maybe that we discussed, or there's something that we're not in upcoming webinars not going to be covering that you're really interested in, you're certainly welcome to get back with me. And this is one way you can do that, is to simply click the request training. I'm going to go into the instructor resources here and notice that we have two options. And these are both the options that I wanted to point out that are available for you. The teaching aids, of course, are right here, and the tutorials are here as well. So we have both of these resources, and I'm not going to go into any detail on these right now. I simply wanted to show you that these are available in LabSim so that you can quickly identify where helps are at. You know, we have a staff here to help out in multiple ways, but it may be after hours. You can't reach anybody here, and you need some assistance. So you quickly go into one of the LabSim tutorials to see if you can find the detail that you need. So we try to create helps along the way so that you have additional resources to fall back on as needed. And there was a question here: is it possible to get a certificate or email for joining the seminar today? Absolutely, there is. And I can send that out. I know sometimes you guys want continuing education credits or credit for attending training. If you do, please contact me or just jot it down in the question box right now that you would like that. Lenka, thank you for asking that today, and I would certainly be happy to send out confirmation that you attended this training, as well as, of course, any subsequent trainings that you may have signed up for, too. So at this point, we have a few minutes left at the end here. I wanted to get specifically to the questions and answers to see if anybody else had any specific questions. So we've covered everything, of course, in the agenda. All right, I'm getting a couple people who said they would like a confirmation for attendance. That's great. Thank you. And here is my direct contact information as well. If obviously, as mentioned, you're welcome to sign up for training uh, through LabSim, but you can also contact me. Of course, my time right now is pretty limited as far as phone calls because I'm on a lot of training sessions, but you're certainly welcome to call, leave a voicemail message if needed, and then you can always email me, of course, at any time. All right. So there was a question, Jim, you were asking about would there be a class on how to bring, um, I'm assuming bring like LabSim into Canvas? Is that what you're looking for? Okay, perfect. And that's a great question. If you are interested in integration, of LabSim into whatever LMS you're using. Again, that could be Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle, D2L, Schoology. There's a variety of different learning management systems out there that campuses are using. It's definitely feasible. Uh, we do have a specialist here. I'm considered the LabSim specialist, but we have an LMS integration specialist here that can help out with that. But the first step is to contact your account manager. They can give you some initial information, and there will be some detail that they will need to turn in to get information back to you to get that process underway. Jim, do you know who your account manager is at TestOut here? I think you said you were in California, so that could be Chris Barkdale, maybe? Oh, perfect. Okay, wonderful. And it looks like there's another question. If we use Blackboard and can set up a sample student, how can we use that sample student with TestOut? Again, these are questions that would be better addressed through our LMS specialist. So, uh, and certainly the account manager may have some specific detail on that too. So please reach out to your account manager. If by chance you do not know who that individual is, again, I have my email posted here on the screen. So feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to get that detail back to you as far as who you can initially contact to find out how to get integration going, or some more specific details about that. All right. Well, I think our time is now spent. Thanks so much for joining our training session today. I appreciate your attendance. Hopefully, this was helpful in giving you a quick review of getting the class set up so that you can get things underway for the students upcoming, whether you have classes beginning next week or maybe still a couple weeks down the road. Thank you so much again for your time, and have a great day. Bye bye, everybody.